Well, welcome everyone to Creating Confidence. I'm super excited for this webinar. We got a lot of great response the first time, so I'm stoked to offer it again. I'm going to try to power through and answer questions at the end. Of course, you can go ahead and throw something in the chat if you want along the way, but I am planning on answering questions at the end. So real quick, you're probably wondering what the heck are we talking about here today? So I wanted to talk about some of the limitless life truths about having a strong sense of self. So first, no one is going to treat you better than you treat yourself. And it's really hard to have a good sense of self-confidence if you treat yourself really poorly. And really, how you treat yourself is training everyone else in your life how to respond to you. And so basically, the foundation for a confident life and for the relationship that you have with yourself is your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, and your results in life. And you can create your own confidence, and you do that through your thoughts and not your results. And really, I think the opposite of confidence is that fear and giving in to fear and not putting yourself out there. And so having a compelling reason is something that will help you push through that. And really, you've got to prioritize long-term results over being comfortable if you want to create change in your life. So those are all some of the things that we are going to dive into today as we move forward. Real quick, you're probably wondering, who the heck is this girl that's talking to me? So my name is Dr. Dee Franey. I am a life coach with My Yes Life, and I love helping people create a life without limits. And really, I do that by helping them find and eliminate the garbage can thoughts that are rolling around in their big, beautiful brain and holding them back from living their best life and getting really great results in their life. I've been a coach for more than 60 years. My doctorate is in organizational leadership, and in fact, my dissertation was in performance excellence. So I've always been super curious about how to be awesome and how to be more awesome and get better results in our life. The first self-development conference I ever went to, I was 5 years old. And somewhere around 10 years old, I started obsessively reading self-help and leadership books. So I kind of feel like I was born for this and have a lot of professional experience coaching for another organization before I decided to start my own business. But really, I love helping people create mental excellence, to learn to lead their brain so that they can create a life without limits. I am a dog mom, and you probably heard my dog barking, and he's at my feet. So I apologize in advance if things get a little crazy. So before we talk about how to create confidence, I think it's really important to talk about the barriers that hold us back from living our most confident life. So some of the ways that you sabotage your confidence include having a poor opinion of yourself, right? We often fall into these habits of self-loathing, not taking care of ourselves. And like I said earlier, that belief that confidence only comes because we have proven results, when it actually, in fact, comes from our thoughts. A habit of quitting on yourself and your goals, and really not understanding how your brain doesn't want you to change. So I think it's important to dive a little bit deeper into why you quit, because really most people have the perception of confidence. You gain confidence because you know how to do something. And one of the things that prevents you from knowing how to do something is quitting, right? You put yourself out there, you think you want to learn, you think you want to grow, you want to create this result so that you can have confidence, and then you quit. And so this often comes because we've created poorly formed goals. There's so many people that I talk to that want to go from being a couch potato to like running a marathon tomorrow. And that's really not a good formed goal. And we do this in a lot of different areas of our lives, right? Not just thinking about like running. Focusing on the behavior change rather than the limiting beliefs. We're going to get into it more a little deeper about how if you want to create lasting, sustainable change in your life, you've got to start with your thoughts and not your actions. There's a difference between wanting something and committing. I see this so often. People are really, really, really excited about the idea of the change, but not about the work. So they like to dream up this magical fairyland that, you know, would be possible for them if they actually committed to doing the work and keeping uncomfortable until they create the result. And the unwillingness to be uncomfortable, right? That's the next reason why you quit, because anything that requires us to change and to grow doesn't feel very good. And that is a big part of moving forward. And a lack of resilience. I see this a lot with people I've coached in the past, is that, you know, when you want something but you're not committed, when you give yourself the way to escape, you're not willing to do whatever it takes to succeed no matter what. And also linking happiness to the achievement, right? I'll be happy when ... And if you don't give yourself small wins along the way, if you don't allow yourself to be happy just to be happy and not because you've achieved the thing, you're more likely to quit and have a very pessimistic attitude in life. So quitting becomes a habit, right? Whatever we practice at, we get really great at. And a lot of people that I coach have gotten into a habit of wanting something, creating a goal, trying for a little while. It gets hard and then they quit. And so the question is, are you practicing quitting or justifying why you quit? And be honest with yourself, and don't, you know, look inward and think about this as a reason or as a way to beat yourself up, right? But more becoming aware of your habits and your behaviors is what helps you unlock change. And so when you quit, you're really not exercising follow through. And I see this all the time is people who have this habit of quitting make failure a personal characteristic rather than experience. So the belief is I am a failure rather than I failed at that thing. And there's a huge distinction, right? One feels like very hopeful. If you fail at a thing, you can pick yourself back up and keep trying. You can learn a different way. You can go take a class. You can ask for help. But if you're a failure, then it's almost hopeless, right? Like you don't have the belief that that is possible for you or that it's something that you could create in your life. So we need to understand how the brain works, because all of this relates to this really interesting state in evolution that we're in with our brain. And so I like to say that we have two brains, but yes, I understand there's only one brain in our head, but there's two parts that I really feel like are at war with one another. And so we've got the primitive brain. This is our survival brain. This is the oldest part of our brain that's been evolving for about 2 million years. And it does some really interesting things to keep us safe and to keep us evolving as a species. So the first thing is our brain wants to maximize pleasure, you know, do the things that feel good, like eat, procreate, sleep, minimize pain. So we don't want to do things that are uncomfortable or that might hurt us or threaten our survival. Our brain wants to be as efficient as possible, and that's why it creates habits of thinking and habits of behavior. And that's really so that it can use most of its consciousness and awareness and energy on scanning for threats. You know, like those big saber-toothed tigers, they're no longer around trying to eat us. And because our brain wants to be as efficient as possible, it wants to maintain the status quo. It does not want us to change. Our brain has evolved to not like uncertainty because it equates uncertainty with danger. And so often our brain will choose to stay exactly like is. It will choose the known of the current situation versus the uncertainty and the unknown on the other side of the change. The other part of our brain is our human brain. So that's our prefrontal cortex. That's the outer kind of crunchy looking area of our brain, and the front part of our brain as well. And it really allows us to plan and strategize, to think about our thoughts, to create a vision and goals for our life. And as we understand right now, we're the only mammal that really has this higher order thinking, this higher consciousness. And so that's what helps create this really interesting dynamic that's going on, because our primitive brain is like, holy crap, change equals danger, right? It doesn't want the uncertainty of the change. And so anytime we go to create change, our survival brain is going to kick on our stress response. It's our fight or flight. And that's what makes us feel like we're dying, even though like maybe we're just having to talk to a stranger. Because our brain is like, oh my God, you might die if you do this thing. You don't know what's going to happen. Right? But our human brain, our higher order brain, knows that, it's created this vision and these goals, and it knows, okay, if I talk to enough people, then this result should happen. Like maybe you're in business and you're in sales or something like that, and you need to go network, and the thought of going and talking to new people is terrifying for some people, right? But you know that if you talk to the people, that will get you to the result that you're seeking. And so it's this really weird war that happens in our brain, where the human brain is like, yes, let's go do this thing. We could change and it'll be so much better. And survival brain's like, oh no, we ain't. Nope, that's not happening. And so I really think that that's why there's so many more people in our society that have depression and anxiety and all these mood things. And it's because there's enough awareness that life could be better, but not enough skill to override the stress response that has been evolving and keeping us safe for 2 million years. And honestly, it's a good thing that our brain's natural default state is fear, because if we were all just laying around comfortable in the cave, we all would have been eaten by saber-toothed tigers a long time ago, and bye-bye for our species. So, I mean, that's a really good evolutionary thing that's happened. But really, in the last 100 years, we've all but eliminated all of the unnecessary dangers in our life. And really, like, the main dangers we choose intentionally, like driving cars and that sort of thing. And so I think it's just this crazy war where we know it could be better, but we don't know how. And like that, the older part of our brain has so much more practice at overriding our ability to create the change. And so really we need to use our human brain to create awareness and remind ourselves, hey, when I go to this networking thing, I'm not in danger. There is not a saber-tooth tiger that's about to eat me. And I'm choosing to change on purpose. Like I use my human brain to see a better picture, and this is one of the steps along the way. I choose to change on purpose. I am not in danger. And that automatically takes you outside of that stress response. If you can have that level of awareness and remind yourself, okay, my brain is just trying to protect me. I'm not going to die here. Everything's going to be all right. So you want to become the observer of your thoughts. Like we over-identify with our brain and the thoughts that are in our head. And sometimes like our brain is just making all these observations. The sky is blue. The trees are blowing in the breeze right now. I'm a big dumb idiot. Oh, look, there's a car that just drove by, right? And it inserts there with it like these judgments and awful negative thoughts in between observations that no one would argue about whether it's true or not. The sky is blue. And if you were looking out my window, you would see that car drove by. I noticed that you can't see that right now. But so then, we start to think that everything that's floating through our brain is absolute truth. And that's who we are. And we can't get outside of that. And the reality is a lot of those thoughts that we have about ourselves are not true. We're inserted into our brain by people who, before we even knew that we could choose our thoughts, or that we didn't have to believe what they were saying about us, like that teacher that said you'll never amount to anything. And and society, right? There's so much manipulation in advertising and all the messaging and telling us who we should be and what we should think. So really, you are a bigger purpose. You're a soul. You're not just your brain. And so you can choose confidence by creating confidence in your thoughts. And we're going to go more into that here in a little bit. So what is your opinion of yourself? This is a super important question. You know, are you sitting here, you know, regularly in a state of self-loathing? It's really easy to fall into a cycle of beating ourselves up, right? I just listen to people now in conversations. The other day, this lady was like, I'm so stupid, da, 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 right? And if she admitted that in public in front of all these other women, I can only imagine the stuff that she says to herself inside of her head that no one else can hear, because I know that that is usually 100 times worse than what we admit in public. So a perpetual state of negative thought and emotions can be classified as self-loathing. And so you want to start to increase your awareness by how you feel in different situations. There might be things where you feel really confident. There might be other parts of your life where you have zero confidence whatsoever. And I think that that's a really interesting thing to start to notice and to lean into and say, okay, why do I feel confident in this space, but not over here? Or why do I love myself in this space, but not over here? Why do I beat myself at work, but not at home? Or whatever. Maybe it's super awful mom guilt and you feel like a rock star at work. I know women that do that direction too, right? So often we feel like there's something wrong with us and we believe it's just an observation and not an opinion or a thought that you can control or change. This goes back to that whole, like, the sky is blue, I'm an idiot, look at the tree moving. But really, that, like, it's just a thought. And here's what's crazy. Even though all of society is practicing otherwise and is telling you otherwise, you don't have to think that there's anything wrong with you, because that's just a choice. You're choosing to believe that there's something wrong with you. And so if it's a choice to focus on all the things you hate, guess what? It's also a choice to focus on the things that are awesome about you and to choose to start being nice to yourself. So you need to mind your focus. Really, what you focus on will increase, right? We talk about law of attraction, same idea in terms of your relationship with yourself. Self-loathing is really disempowering. You are giving all of your power away in terms of how you feel. It doesn't feel very good, right? Like, I know I've been in a shame circle on a number of occasions and you know, been very hateful to myself. It doesn't feel good, right? And it can become an addiction. The more you practice it, the more it's like the habit of thinking, the habit of behavior that's in your life that your brain doesn't even think about. It just fires it subconsciously. But self-loathing is a choice. If you take nothing else away, just know that if you continue to beat yourself up, you're choosing to do that. Come on. Okay, so how to stop self-loathing then? You need to decide on purpose what you want to think about yourself and then practice it. At first, if you've gone from like hating on yourself consistently, regularly for a long time, it's hard to go to the super like other end of the pendulum and be like, I love myself unconditionally, right? Like your brain's like, no you ain't, no you don't. Right? It's going to give you that negative chatter back. And so sometimes if you've gone from something that's super negative, you need to baby step it up until that point where you're like, I love myself unconditionally, right? Maybe I'm committed to being a person who loves herself unconditionally. I'm committed to loving myself. I'm practicing loving myself, right? Like have a segue thought that your brain's not going to immediately reject. And when we practice appreciating ourselves, we're basically practicing the opposite of self-loathing. And that's how you release it, right? So another thing I have my clients do is when they notice that they say one mean thing to themselves, they have to say 3 nice things immediately after they notice it. So like, they're like, I'm such a dummy. You know, they need to tell them 3 nice things after that. And the more that you practice that, the quicker you'll be at ending that cycle. So here's the deal. Like, if you don't believe that you're worth very much, it shows up in your life. It shows up in your relationships, in your perception of your value, and in your emotions. It dictates you expect others, or you expect that others make you feel good, right? You're given all of your power to other people to make you feel better. You'll tolerate really crappy treatment from other people. You're not going to demand your value, or you'll sell yourself short. And you'll really spend a lot of time in shame, unworthiness, and feeling unlovable. Who wants to sign up for more of that? I know I don't. So I choose to love myself. There's a pretty good affirmation for you. Here's the deal. The only thing between you, you feeling worthy, is a thought. You don't believe that you are worthy. And here's what I know is true. We are all born worthy. Because we're here, we are worthy. And there's no arguing it. I didn't create me. I didn't create you. There is some sort of higher power in all of its infinite wisdom that created us exactly as we are in this moment. Quirks, warts, flaws, and all, right? Who wants to argue with like a divine creator that like made us as awesome as we are, exactly as we are? Self-worth is not built up, it's pre-established. You cannot earn it or lose it. And no matter what you've done or not done. Guess what? I think a person in prison is equally as worthy as I am right here. We are all children of God, divine creation, the universe, however like you want to wrap it up. But I do believe that there's a higher purpose and infinite wisdom. Because of that, you're 100% worthy no matter what. Like your behaviors, your decisions, maybe could they have been better? Yeah. But that doesn't mean you're less worthy. And you shouldn't beat yourself up if you haven't been perfect in the past, because that's elusive and not real anyway. So should we talk about self-confidence now? So I want to define it just so that we're all on the same sheet of music, because I know it's one of those words that we all know it, but like, what does it really mean? And really, the Googles told me that confidence is a feeling of trust in one's abilities, qualities, and judgment. Please notice that this definition doesn't say like faith in oneself because of all of the results that you've already created. It's a feeling of trust in your abilities, your qualities, and your judgment as a human being. And so when we have self-confidence, we have trust in our ability to do something or to figure out something, but not necessarily in our ability to do it right this second. A lot of times when we are growing towards something, when we have a goal, that's why we feel like we need confidence, right? And if we could do that goal right now, it would just be an item on our to-do list. Goals require, like good goals, real goals, require us to grow into the person who can achieve them, which usually means we don't know how to do the thing yet, which means we get to grow and develop and become a stronger, better version of ourselves on the way to achieving that goal, which means we have confidence in our ability to figure it out and to go do the thing, but not necessarily that we do it right. We can do it right this second. So confidence never comes from your actions or your results. Self-confidence is an emotion that's created by our thoughts. So I want to show you this self-coaching model, and this is one of the tools that I use with my clients. And really everything in life fits into one of these areas. Circumstances are the facts of the world. The sky is blue, right? That's a fact that we can all agree on. And then we have a thought about this, and we know in neurobiology that there's electrical current that happens in our brain. That is a thought that then creates a biochemical cascade within our bodies, which is our feelings. So even though a lot of the times you're not aware that you're having thoughts, 93% of our thoughts are subconscious, it is always a thought that creates that biochemical feeling, which is just the physical sensation in our body. And all of our feelings drive our actions. Everything we do in life is to feel a certain way or avoid feeling a certain way. And so our feelings will drive our actions or our inaction, right? Sometimes we do nothing to avoid a feeling or because we are feeling a certain feeling. And our actions will always create our results in life. And here's the deal. Our results will always reconfirm the original thought. So, if you have a very confident thought, guess what? You're going to get a very confident result. But if you have a very self-conscious, self-loathing thought, you're probably not going to get the result that you're seeking. So why do we want confidence? Confidence feels really good and it inspires a lot of action, right? It's one of those really positive, feel good, useful emotions that we experience. It creates a lot of momentum, movement, and really it doesn't come from your experience, your talent, or your practice. It's always coming from your thoughts. So you get to decide what you believe, and you can choose to believe it right now. Just like you don't believe that you feel like you could be confident in an area, that is just a thought that you've been thinking in your brain, and you can change that. So confidence is a skill. Think about it that way. Confidence is more of a skill, and it's developed by directing your thinking in your mind. And the more that you practice confident beliefs, the more likely you are to show up as a confident human being in the world. And I love this thought from Marie Forleo. Everything is figure outable, right? If we go back to the definition of confidence, it's in our judgment and our ability to get it done, to figure it out. And if everything is figure outable and you really truly believe that, how could you not always have confidence? It's one of my favorites. You can borrow it. So here I want to give you 5 steps to creating confidence, and we're going to go into each of these a little bit deeper. So the first one, shocker, is to be nice to yourself. Know what you want, know what you have to offer. I want you to prioritize long-term gratification, which you're like, what the heck is that, Dee? We'll talk about that. And keep your promises. Sounds pretty simple, right? Nothing too complex. So step 1, be nice to yourself. What are you focusing on? Are you appreciating yourself? Appreciation means to recognize the full worth of something. We often find it easier to appreciate others than we do ourselves, right? I'm sure you can think of a handful of people that you appreciate more than yourself in this moment. What you take time to appreciate and acknowledge in yourself are the things that will grow. So do you want to spend all your time focusing on your faults and the things that are wrong with you? Or do you want to say, hey, I've got these awesome strengths and I bring them to the table and people want this. I speak to myself with kindness. How is your self-talk? What are you saying to yourself? I want you to start catching yourself and changing the things that you say. You need to start treating yourself better than everyone else around you. You need to be your best friend, your #1 ally. I take care of myself first. No one's going to treat you better than you treat yourself. And if you treat yourself like a garbage can, guess what? You're going to get garbage can results. So whose job is it to take care of you? You, and only you. First and always, right? How you treat yourself trains other people how to treat you. And so I want you to take responsibility for your well-being and start to practice some radical self-care. And that is the daily decisions that you make to nurture your mind, body, and spirit. I'm not talking about pampering. It's cool to go get a mani-pedi or a massage, but that's pampering. Self-care is things that you do to ground yourself, to take care of your mental, emotional space, to take care of your physical space, right? Because if you're treating your body like a garbage can, you're going to feel poorly, and it's going to be hard to create confident thoughts. Step 2, you need to know what you want in life. So knowing your why. I love it. Simon Sinek does a really great TED Talk about this. But here's the 40,000 foot view. To be successful and influence change in your life, you must know why you do what you do. And knowing your why gives you a clear idea of how to act in any situation. It helps you create passion, purpose, and excitement for what is possible. A lot of times people think, oh, to go make the change, I have to know all the steps of how I'm going to do it. But I want to say, BS, that's not true. Your why, the purpose, the reason why you're going after this change, the thing that's uncomfortable in your life, if you know why you're going to want to do, why you want it, that will lead you what you do, right? So usually the why is like, what's the feeling that you want to create? And then and the what will get you to the how, like the steps. And when you do it in that order, the how is going to change and evolve. And that's okay, because it's through inspired action, knowing that why and the what, that the path becomes clear. And when you lead with your why, if you have this burning desire and know why you're like putting yourself in danger according to your survival brain, it's going to be a lot easier for you to keep showing up and doing the thing that's uncomfortable. So knowing your why also makes you more resilient. You're less likely to give up at the first sign of failure. You're going to say, okay, that didn't work. What can I try different? What can I do differently this time? What do I need to adjust? But you're not going to quit because you have this burning desire and this vision for why you're going after this thing. You need to have less concern. You'll have less concern about what everybody else is doing. It's great. Like once you know your why, it's like you have blinders on. It's okay that everybody else is following the crowd. You're more willing to go outside of that to create the life that you desire. And I love this. All your decisions are filtered through your why. When you know exactly what you want to create, every question is, does this get me closer or farther away from that? And it's such a powerful way to then be able to say, yes, I'm going to do that. No, that's a hard pass because that doesn't get me closer to what it is that I'm seeking. So you start with why. What is it that you want to create in your life? Have you truly decided what you want? If you don't even know what you're moving toward, it's going to be hard to create confidence and go out and be uncomfortable. Your why must be more important to you than the excuse or the conflicting desire. So it's very easy for our brain to be like, oh, no, we should just Netflix and chill. I don't feel like doing the thing that's hard. Let's take it easy. Let's take our foot off the gas, right? And if you don't have that burning desire, that sense of where you're headed, it can be very easy to get distracted and to make excuses. And bottom line, discomfort is the price for evolution, guys. Like everything great is on the other side of being uncomfortable. And once you accept that and just say, hey, this is part of the process, it's okay that I'm uncomfortable because this is what's going to get me where I want to go. If you remove a lot of that resistance to doing the thing to begin with. And further, like most of the time we're uncomfortable. We're either uncomfortable because we don't like where we are and we're not doing anything to change it, or we're intentionally uncomfortable moving towards what we really, really want. So if you're going to be uncomfortable either way, why not pick uncomfortable on the way towards a better life? Step 3, know what you have to offer. So you are uniquely you for a reason. And you have special gifts like no one else. You have strengths, talents, perspectives, and abilities unlike anyone else around you. And that's a good thing, right? I love this idea, stop stealing. You were given your strengths, abilities, and talents to share in the world, to not be like everyone else. And if you're hiding and coming from an insecure place, guess what? You're stealing all of that awesome from the world. And plus, I love people like try to tell me that like self-care and working on themselves and having a good relationship with themselves is selfish. And honestly, if you think about it, if you spend a lot of time in self-loathing, you spend most of your day and night thinking about you, what's wrong with you. You're not really showing up fully in, if and when you go anywhere. You're really worried about other people judging you. What if they laugh at me? What if they reject me? And you're not even there. You're so in your own mind. You're actually spending a lot, like being really selfish in that moment because you're so wrapped up in your own story. And so putting yourself out there and truly loving one another is selfless. Focus on serving other people's needs instead of your own fears. Like when you're going out and trying to do this thing to create your better life, like let's go back to that networking, right? It could be very easy to be like, oh, they're all gonna laugh at me. What if I say something stupid? What if, right? And then you're stuck in your own like space, but like you're out there networking, for a reason. So focus on how you can serve and help others and stop stealing those amazing gifts from the world. Step 4, you want to prioritize long-term gratification. So we often prioritize pleasure over doing the work, whatever that is, in terms of becoming more confident or creating the change that we want in our work. And that's because our brain is wired to maximize pleasure. We get a really great dopamine hit, a neurotransmitter, anytime we do something that feels good. And there's a lot of advertisers, companies that have realized that they can manipulate the dopamine response and keep you addicted to doing and create addiction to different things. Like the whole reason why you can't stop scrolling and you get excited for notifications on Facebook is because they figured out how to trigger a dopamine response. And so all these things are actually really not great for us. They've been able to assign pleasure, and that's how you get stuck doing them. But really, because of that, we like to go for short-term gratification over the long-term benefit, right? So you might have this bigger goal for yourself and this change that you want to create, but I don't feel like doing it right now, so I'm just going to Netflix and chill. And so you're choosing the short-term gratification, the comfort in that moment, rather than going out and networking for your business and to get to that bigger income goal or whatever it is, right? And so you can create confidence from within, right? Feelings come from thoughts, but most of the time people are trying to find happiness, joy, confidence from external sources. We want to have the achievement be the result of why you feel good. But the thing is that any sort of pleasure that you derive from external sources is going to be temporary and fleeting. It's not going to last, right? Like, I don't know about you guys. Have you done the Target retail therapy thing? I go in there, used to, and could come out and be like, spend $100 after going in for one thing. And in the moment where I'm like picking out the things, I'm like, ooh, right? And then you leave the store and within 10 minutes, you're like, well, crap, that doesn't feel so great anymore, right? And so seeking pleasure, seeking happiness, seeking confidence from external sources will always leave you feeling dependent and inadequate, right? So if you are waiting to feel confident until you achieve the thing, that means you always have to achieve something to feel confident. And that is not the truth. Really, confidence comes from a thought. And knowing that you can create any feeling from inside in your mind means that you are totally powered. You are empowered. So if you can create confidence and success from within, you're always going to be empowered and confident. And our willingness to be present with discomfort is the ultimate ticket to our success, right? The more you're willing to put yourself out there and do the thing that's uncomfortable, the more likely you are to continue to succeed. And really, it's when we're resisting and reacting to and avoiding negative emotions that you end up seeking the false external pleasures to try to make you feel better. So reminder, discomfort is the currency for change. If you want to change, if you want a better life, if you want something different, you're going to be a little uncomfortable, and that's okay. You're not going to die, even though your brain's trying to tell you you will. So step 5, keep your promises to yourself. So you need to take 100% responsibility for your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and results. You alone are the one that creates your reality. And I know sometimes you're like, damn, Dee, that's really harsh. So-and-so made me feel this way. And so-and-so, like, the reason why I didn't get this done is because of them. And it's like, okay, so if they're responsible for your failures, guess what? They're also responsible for your successes. And do you really want to give that power away to other people? A lot of times we give our emotional power away. We're socialized as children to believe that other people make us feel the way that we feel. And it's not the case, right? Like little Johnny is mean and makes Sally cry. And Johnny is told to apologize, not for his crappy behavior, but for hurting Sally's feelings. But Sally only cried because she had a thought in reaction to his behavior that made her cry. See how we've socialized this into believing that other people cause our feelings. We just have a reaction to their behavior. And so if you take 100% responsibility for your thoughts and your feelings and your actions and results, then you can literally be unstoppable. You can create any result that you want. And so you don't just accept this once and then everything magically changes, because this has been so ingrained in our society that like you have to keep like practicing acceptance. Accept that I'm 100% responsible for what's going on in my life right now. And I know it's harsh, but I think it's also exciting and liberating, because you don't need anybody else to help you make a better life. And so the more you achieve your goals, you'll create confidence in the process and your ability to create results, right? So it's not necessarily like you get to this place where all of a sudden you've got this boundless confidence, although I think it's actually possible because it comes from a thought, right? But you will become more confident in being uncomfortable, in pushing through the craziness in your brain, willing to put yourself out there in a bigger way, willing to fail forward as you learn whatever the new thing is that you need to learn to achieve your goals. And that will, because you keep showing up for yourself, you'll start to have more confidence in yourself, right? So in terms of making your goals, make sure that you're doing sustainable baby steps. Don't try to go couch potato to a marathon. It's not sustainable. You're going to quit. It's not how our brain works. Create SMART goals. So specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and timely. That's a really good framework for creating solid goals. You want to celebrate wins along the way. Sometimes, for a while I was working with undergraduate students, and they're in school for 4 to 6 years. And some of them were like, no, I'm just going to graduate. I'll celebrate when I graduate. I'm like, you're not going to make it the 4 years if you if you only assign pain to the process for 4 years and pleasure at the end. There needs to be some pleasure along the way. Small wins are important. And positively reinforce yourself, right? When you do something good, when you're putting yourself out there and moving towards your goal, give yourself a high five, right? You'll keep doing the thing that feels good. So make the uncomfortable thing feel good. So take action. Here, I don't ever want anyone to come to me and just learn something. I want you to be able to take it and implement it, right? Because that's where real change happens. We get to this place where like we know something, but we don't feel it. The disconnection is action. You haven't actually implemented. So set a goal for yourself. Make a commitment to it. Create your compelling reason. Figure out what your why is. Ask yourself, what do I need to do to guarantee that I meet my goal? And refuse to quit on your way there. Failure is not final unless you quit. Use your mind to overcome obstacles along the way. Be kind to yourself and think confident thoughts on purpose. Everything is figure outable. I can do this. I'm a rock star. So how to make the change. You want to give yourself permission to put yourself first. Often we make ourselves our last priority. Make and prioritize the time to take care of yourself. Self-care is so important. Give yourself permission to complete it alone or with others. Sometimes there's people that will like run and hide and only want to be by themselves, and other people that only want to try to push themselves and create goals and change with a lot of other people. But really, like, there should probably be a little bit of a balance. You need some quiet, alone introspection, but you also need cheerleaders and people to bounce ideas off of. And if nothing else, take 100% responsibility for your life, for your results, and for your emotions. Here's some great self-reflection questions that you can use. Awareness would be something like, where am I imbalanced? Knowledge would be, what options do I have? Decision making is, what options should I consider? Planning, what's the most realistic plan? And action, when, where, and how can I take action? So those are some good questions. Give your brain good questions. It loves to answer problems. It loves to solve problems, and a good question will get a good response. Give it a crappy question like, why am I such an idiot? It's going to give you all the evidence why you're an idiot. So give it good questions instead. And I told you that this is a pitch-free webinar, and it absolutely is, but in case any of this resonated with you and you would like to get some help in holding you accountable, I would love to invite you to book a free mini session. Working with a coach is great because it's someone to help lead you through the change, hold you accountable to the change that you seek, to serve as an unbiased observer to kind of help you uncover the limiting beliefs and things that are preventing you from creating the change. A coach will help advocate for your goals, and it's really a great time for you to work on your life rather than just being in it. So that is my presentation for you today. If you guys have questions, I would love to answer those for you.
Hello again.
Hi, Sarah.
Since there's all of two of us here. My question is, and I want to ask this carefully. I have noticed, I've already done the self-introspection, and I've noticed that where my self-esteem was a while ago is not where it is today. And I could tell you all the reasons why and everything that, you know, my life in the last couple of years has been very interesting. I think Heavenly Father's kind of knocking me on my arse to teach me a few things. I guess like I want a simpler first step. Like one of the things you talked about was when you hear the negative thought in your head, say 3 positive things. Like if I just sit there, I had a friend who, when she was trying to attract a mate, sat in the bathtub for 45 minutes and said, I deserve to be loved, I deserve to be loved, I deserve to, and made herself sit there until she believed it. And then within like 3 months, she met the man of her dreams. So do you suggest something like that? Or I need like a really tangible next step.
Yeah, I mean, I really do think that, or know that the only thing that's blocking you from what it is that you truly want in your life is a belief.
Yeah.
That's going on in your mind, because our beliefs, our thoughts create our emotions, which create our actions to get us our results. And so the only sustainable way to create change in our life is to change what's going on in our brain, and just having that increasing self-awareness, right? Checking in with yourself, creating a good, healthy relationship with yourself is one of the best ways to really turbocharge creating that change. And so, you know, if you feel like your challenge is that you're beating yourself up a lot.
It has more to do with the things I know I should be doing.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily always do, sometimes do, but don't always do. And then I, notice a missed opportunity, or, wow, I could have done that, that's where the beat up comes. I don't have a lot of negative self-talk as far as, gosh, you're ugly, gosh, you're fat, gosh,
Yeah.
A lot of just the knowing what my potential is and knowing I'm not living up to it.
Gotcha. Okay, so shitting on ourselves is really hard, right? Because there's that resistance to doing the thing, and then not doing the thing, and then beating yourself up about doing the thing, and then you're assigning a lot of pain to doing the thing that you know that you should. And so then it creates like this like negative feedback loop where you're like, I should do that thing, but it doesn't feel good to think about wanting to do that thing, right? And then you don't do it. And so it's like this cycle of more and more pain to do the thing that you should be doing. And honestly, like, should you? You know, what's the why? What is the thing that you want to move to? I think before you say, well, I should do this and you should do that, what are your top priorities? What's your vision for your life? What is it that you really want to create? And then reverse engineer that. And some of those things that you're shitting on yourself might not even be on that list. And that's okay, right? They might be things that society says that you should do, or other people in your family should do, right? Or it's prescribed, but like, you might be moving a little bit away from the pack to do what's really more in alignment with what it is that you want to create in your life. Does that make sense?
It does.
So I think the first step is say, what is it that you want? And honestly, like a lot of times when people think about their vision board or their vision for their life or their purpose or their passion, they think of the means values. And so like they're thinking about the things that they want to achieve. Like I want to get a new job, I want a new house, I want to meet the man, right? Like, and the reason why we want any of those things anyway is because of how we believe they're going to make us feel. And so realistically, like you don't necessarily even have to know what your purpose or passion is. You don't even have to know the thing that you want to get, right? That the thing that are say that externally will make us feel better. You know, just think what is it that I truly want to feel? Like my life, my best life, these are the 3 to 5 emotions that I would feel more often. Because that's realistically why you want any of those things. Like I'm sure you maybe have a picture in your mind of things that you think that you want. Ask yourself why. Figure out what the feeling is that you believe you'll get from that. And then from knowing that feeling, then it's easier to say, okay, does this thing that I should be doing move me closer or away from that? And
Okay.
then you put things on your list intentionally.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
I think I'll still do the free analysis with you because there's anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to dive in and chat with you more.
Okay, thanks.
Do you have a question, Brooke?
Oh, I just had a comment. I was going to tell you that this is awesome, first of all, but also the biggest takeaway I got out of it is the discomfort is the price for evolution.
Yeah.
That's what we all struggle with the most is getting out of that comfort.
Totally.
Yeah, because I'm a big analytical. I reanalyze everything about myself all the time. So I do a lot of these steps already anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm really uncomfortable with discomfort. So that's my huge takeaway from this.
Right. And just knowing intentionally, wait, I'm choosing to do this because this is going to get me what I want. Mm-hmm. I think like having that level of awareness makes it a lot easier to go out there and be uncomfortable, right? Like doing a live webinar with, strangers. I know you, but like, I don't know the other people on here and I don't know what questions they're going to ask me. Right. And I'm recording this to share with people that I could like allow myself to be very uncomfortable with that. And that is a real risk, right? I never know who's going to show up and what crazy thing they might say. Luckily, none of you guys did that to me, but like, you know what I mean? That's a scary place that I could go to as a coach and allow myself to be uncomfortable in that. But I know that if I keep showing up and sharing my message and helping people in this way, that I will build the business, the life, the dream that I have for myself. So for me, I'm willing to pay this discomfort because my why, my bigger vision for my life, my yes life is so much bigger. So it's easier to be like, okay, in the bigger scheme of things, I want that more than I want to like give into this current discomfort.
Right. Well, and also, for people like me, I like to help people. Like that's what drives me all the time. I want to make other people feel really awesome. So I like the focus on their needs instead of my fears.
Yeah.
If I'm in an uncomfortable situation, that's a really good thing to remember is just do what I do. I take care of people and not worry about how uncomfortable I might be.
Yeah. Well, and it gets you outside of your own head and all of that drama and like the fear thoughts because you're literally focusing on somebody else. And like fear and like cannot exist in the same place as like gratitude or love. Right. And so if you're loving on another person, or if you start to get scared and you start to think of all the reasons why you're grateful and all, like, even if it's just like, I'm grateful I'm breathing right now. I'm grateful for clean water. That's a pretty good one. There's a lot of people in this world that do not have clean water, my friends.
Hey, my plumbing went out 3 months ago and I had no water for a week. And let me tell you.
Grateful for clean water. Right? So like, that's another trick to like really quickly get you out of that fear space, out of that insecurity. Focus on all the things to be grateful for. Focus on loving on another person. Hi, Regina.
Hi.
Here. Do you have any questions before we go?
No, I came in too late.
That's okay. I'll send out the recording.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Cool. Well, if there's no other questions today, I want to thank you so much for joining me today and for your awesome questions. And hopefully we talk again real soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Dee.
Yeah, of course.